RocSports, and I'm back with another video. As you can tell by the title, this is my reaction video. I know I'm a day late to the Joshua and Usyk fight. First thing first, that was a good fight. That was a really good high-level fight. I want to give so much credit to Usyk. I thought he was going to get knocked out within 7 rounds, honestly. I never doubted Usyk's skill set. I just simply thought he was too small for heavyweight. For this era of heavyweights especially. So, he had a great game plan, man. Let's just get right to it. He had a great game plan. In terms of skill level, again, I always thought he was more skilled than any of these heavyweights, including Fury. I think he's more skilled. But just the size. But he really didn't have to deal with that because of Joshua's game plan. So that's a couple of points I want to touch on in this video, and let's get right to it. Going back to Usyk with his Going back to Usyk with his great game plan. The angles from round 1, his angles, his feinting, his active guard, everything from round 1 had Joshua froze, had him stuck in his tracks. He was looking like his footwork on top of the angles, he was looking like a bigger Lomachenko in there. Like a heavyweight Loma, if that makes sense. Like he had Joshua so unsure. He was really able to do whatever he want, man. But to me, I don't want to, what I'm about to say, I don't want to make it seem like I'm not giving Usyk his proper amount of credit because he deserves it all. But Joshua, I just don't know. I just don't know about AJ, man. His game plan, I just don't agree with. I'm no boxing expert. I'm no trainer. I'm no former fighter. None of that. I'm just a fan watching the sport. But for me to watch that fight, my biggest takeaway is Joshua's game plan. I don't think that he was going to win a fight trying to fight Usyk the way that he did. You know what I mean? He's not, Joshua on his best day is not going to outbox Usyk, in my opinion. And to me, it seemed as if he was fighting Usyk's fight. Like, not necessarily, I mean, he was fighting Usyk's fight, but it seemed like he was fighting like Usyk, like trying to mimic Usyk in front of him, if that makes sense. Like him with his patty punch punches and just his placement, man. He was going to the body in moments, in spurts, and he would be very successful, but then he would just retreat back. And I don't know. The whole, even if they came in with the game plan to outbox Usyk, after the first couple of rounds, I felt like adjustments should have been made, which adjustments were made. But I'm saying adjustment from forget trying to box this dude. Let's just walk him down. Let's impose our will and our size on him. Well, let me not say will, but impose our size on him. Joshua's 6'6", 240, and Usyk is what, 6'3"? So, and he's coming up from cruiserweight, man. And not to mention, his 2 previous fights, he looked more vulnerable than he did in this fight. Every time AJ landed flesh on Usyk, you can see the difference in terms of size. Like, you can see Joshua punches having a big effect on Usyk, regardless if it was to the body, if it was a clean headshot, whatever. You can clearly see he was the bigger puncher, and it should have been that way because Usyk was coming up from cruiserweight. But Joshua would have success, land off a nice little flurry, and then he would just retreat back. Like, just give up ground, just let Usyk, you know, dictate the pace, and I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't know. He just looked off. But again, I don't want to go that far because I want Usyk to get his credit too because he deserves all the credit in the world. So yeah, AJ's game plan. Don't agree with it. Felt like he should have had a totally different game plan. And even if that was a game plan, they should have just adjusted along with the fight. They gave up way too many rounds early on. He was so tentative. I don't get it. AJ's so stiff. Not that we didn't know this, but like it really showed in this fight for me, just because of how fluent and athletic Usyk is. And I never thought that Joshua was the most athletic. I feel like his athleticism is kind of overblown. If we talking Wilder, Fury, obviously now Usyk, Ruiz, whoever you want to say, I think that all of those guys are more athletic than Joshua. But obviously with his fundamentals, his power, his IQ, all of that, I just thought that he would be able to get past Usyk. Now, I will say this. If it's a rematch, a lot of people saying that they would pick Usyk easier. I'm not saying that. I'm not ready to go that far yet. I want to watch the fight a couple more times. I watched it twice. but I'm not ready to just say, because we seen two totally different AJs from Ruiz 1 and Ruiz 2. Now, granted, Usyk is no Ruiz. I'm very aware of that. His pedigree, everything. He's on a totally different level. But if AJ could just do what I said just a couple minutes ago, if he can just fight physical for one fight, if he can just, I'm not gonna say go Sean Porter on him, but if he could just lean on him, just let Usyk feel him, opposed to just let me try to outpoint you. You know what I mean? Like, just get down, fight Usyk. Don't try to box him, fight him. I feel like he would knock Usyk out. It's just because he's just overmatched. I don't think what Usyk did against Joshua, I don't think that will win the fight for him against Wilder or Fury. It may win rounds, he may have moments, but I think both of them will prevail in that fight. I could be wrong, because I was wrong about this fight. But yeah. You could argue that Chisora and Chaz Witherspoon had more success against Usyk than Joshua. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Not me. Not me. I also feel as though I'm not one to go as far as to say that somebody needs a new trainer, because I don't know boxing like that in depth to just go on and say that I don't know who he have in his team, all of that, per se. But I do think that he should add someone to his team and subtract, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that he should fire his head trainer, but I do feel like he has a lot of voices in his ear. But at the same time, looking at it, I'm not sure if he should or not. Just because I felt like a lot of that is just Joshua. Like, I don't know if it's just he's been gun shy ever since Ruiz or whatever it is. But, because of Ruiz, but he was just so tentative, man. And him being so stiff, nothing is just fluent. Like, everything just seems so textbook from a robotic standpoint. Like, it's just, everything is just so, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I could just say robotic, but it's just, I don't know, man. AJ, it's a lot that he needs to do. He lucky that he was not fighting Wilder or Fury yesterday. He would have been stopped. Usyk arguably was about to stop him yesterday, which brings me to this next point. The bell rung early towards the end of the fight. It was like 5 to 8 seconds that the bell clearly went off before the fight was over. Was it to save Joshua? Because it looked like he was about to get stopped. Now, Usyk said his trainer had advised him not to try to stop him, just continue to outpoint him, because they seen that was easy work. But he could have stopped AJ. He could have stopped him Saturday night. Whether it was because of fatigue, just IQ, just him, whatever it was, he could have stopped him. And you could argue he knocked him down at one point in the fight when AJ was held up by the rope. The ropes was holding him up. Could have been called a knockdown. Wouldn't have been absurd to do that. But what does this win for the Usyk mean for the heavyweight division? So we got the big one. We are 12 days away from the big one, the trilogy, Wilder Fury 3. So I'm assuming that we're gonna get a rematch of this fight. Most likely we're gonna get a rematch. If AJ was to win again, do they fight again? You know what I mean? Like, because you can argue that regardless of if Usyk could go get knocked out in the first round, him winning this fight right here and the way that he won it, the fashion that he won it in, he deserves a third fight regardless of what happens the second fight, in my opinion. But, so my point is, does this just put another dent and hold on the heavyweight division? If Wilder goes and beats Fury, do they fight for a fourth time? Like, what goes on with that? I don't think so, just because of the way Fury is. I think if Wilder wins, we see Wilder Usyk, honestly. But that definitely shakes up the heavyweight division, man. Things are very interesting now. Very, very, very interesting. Because it's not for sure that Joshua's going to win this next fight. Sure, it's not for sure that he has survived, go to the full 12. I'm that more intrigued by the second fight, obviously, to see how it would end. Joshua needs this win, though. He has to win next fight. I don't know where Joshua would go if he was to lose to Usyk again. And then let's say if Wilder loses to Fury. I mean, yeah, Wilder and Joshua could fight each other, but it's like, I mean, obviously people still want to see that, don't get me wrong, but it's like, man, that's to know where them guys were at and to see that now, like, it's crazy to me. But this is boxing. Anything can happen in the second fight, so I'm not going to overreact. I'm just going to talk about what we saw. Usyk put on a hell of a performance, and he dominated Joshua. I think I had the fight score 9-3 for Usyk, but I might have had a swing round up in there, so it could have been 8-4, but it was a clear win. The first time I watched it live, I thought it was a little bit closer. Like, I thought Usyk won clear, but I thought it was a little bit more, close. But after rewatching it, that was, I'm not going to say easy work, but that was slight work for Usyk, man. That was slight work. And he could have done more. He could have did more. So, I'm not going to be too long. That's all I got for this video. I'm excited for the next couple weeks, or over the next 2 weeks, to see how the heavyweight division unfolds. It's about to be very interesting. Very interesting. So again, congrats to Usyk. Joshua, it's time to go back to the drawing board. You have to make some adjustments within yourself. Before anything with trainers or anything, you have to go in there and make some changes within your own mindset to get these dudes that shouldn't, I'm not going to say that shouldn't be in the ring with you, but these dudes that you should beat, I felt like he should have beat Usyk. But that's just a, take my head off to Usyk, man. That was a hell of a performance. But that's it, RocSports. I'm checking out. Stay tuned for the next video. All of my boxing, NFL, and NBA fans, like, share, and subscribe, man. Keep coming back. I'm going to be dropping more content.